We're going live. You need to show your face at least a bit.
It's a
You need
kitty.
to show your face to the world. My assistant Sushi.
Guys, welcome to Author Chat. We are talking with the author of A Curse of Roses. I love this cover. It's so gorgeous. I had so much fun making the graphic for this. It's so pretty.
It is. I got lucky.
So this is your debut, right?
Yes.
Fun. So guys, you know the drill. If you have questions, you can toss them into the live chat below. If for some reason YouTube is not allowing you to do so, you can tweet them out or Instagram me or DM me and I will find them and post them on air. So we're going to get right into the thick of this. So what did it feel like when you found out that your book was going to be published?
Ecstatic. I was just like looking at the email, reading it 3 times to make sure I'd read it right. And then I went out for drinks.
It's like winning the lottery. It's like go grab everybody else. Like, yay, am I reading this correctly?
Yes. It was like, oh my God, does it say I have an offer of publication? Or is it like, are we sorry to inform you? And I'm just somehow missing that line. But yeah, so it was very ecstatic. And then I went out for drinks and cake.
That's awesome. So what can you tell us about A Curse of Roses?
So A Curse of Roses is a retelling of my hometown's legend centered around Queen Yzabel of Aragon, who I guess people in the US and UK know her more as Elizabeth of Portugal. Mm-hmm. And she reportedly snuck out of the castle to feed the poor, which was against her husband's wishes, or King Denis's wishes. And he found her. And when he found her, she was like hiding the bread in her skirts. And he asked her, "What are you carrying?" And she said, "Roses, because I can't say bread, I guess." And when she dropped her skirts, lo and behold, it was roses and not bread. And the king saw it and was like, "Oh my God, it's a miracle. It must be to show me how wrong I was about being charitable to the people. So I guess you can keep on." And I got that and turned it into, because I wanted her to have magic, and I wanted it to be a magical thing when that happened instead of a random miracle. And so in my version, she's been cursed. She believes all the food she eats turns to flowers, and so she wants to find a way to get rid of that curse. So she finds an Enchanted Moura who tells her it's not a curse, she was born with it. Or maybe it's Maybelline. I always say that now. She was born with it, and so she needs to master it. And once she does, she can do the opposite and turn flowers into bread, thus allowing her to feed the starving kingdom with nothing but wildflowers she can pick off the countryside.
That would be like a really cool power, to be able to turn flowers into food.
Yeah. Never starve again, really cool. As long as you have a nice garden.
Right. That'd be really cool. Especially like here in Florida, we have tons and tons and tons of flowers. So that would be kind of nice.
I know someone
Go touch some flowers.
Someone asked if you had the power to turn anything into anything with a touch, what would you do? And I was just like, cardboard into cat treats.
Oh, cat treats?
Cat treats. Never again run out of treats and have my cats like look at me like I've betrayed them because I forgot to buy treats and ran out.
Well, it's like that's an awesome power, because it's like, I mean, what is something that we have in abundance that we could use to turn into other things? And it's like, you know, probably the worst one would be poop, you know, because there's always poop, you know. Let's turn poop into something useful.
Poop into gold.
There you go.
Get rich pooping.
That is crazy. Let's see. We have a writing question. This being an own voices title, what do you hope readers take away from the story?
So my main thing that I put in my author's note is that it's to accept yourself as you are. So a lot of this story, it's about self-acceptance. And it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight or ace, whatever you are, it's fine. There's like no judgment. And so long as you love yourself, it's gonna be fine. That's my main takeaway, because I was raised in a very conservative environment where, being the word lesbian was thrown around as an insult, and that really hurt me as a teen growing up. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted a book that's like just telling people, it's like, no, it's fine. If a saint can be a lesbian and still be one with God, so can you. If you're religious, if you're not religious, then be one with God. It's just fine. Be yourself.
Right. Nice. Let's see. Since this book deals with flowers, do you have a favorite?
I do. It's the lily. I love lilies.
These are pretty.
The white
Have
lilies.
you seen like pictures of like the glory lily?
No.
That thing is like, it's like the size of your head. It's huge.
Oh my God.
Yeah, those things are massive.
Glory lily. The
Yeah.
part where I just put it on Google. Oh my God.
Right?
They're so pretty
This thing
too.
It's so gorgeous, but it is
Oh my
like the
God.
size of like a dinner plate. It's
We
huge.
call the flower apparently gloriosa, like glorious, just glorious. And
Okay.
it is. It's such a pretty
Well,
flower.
that's cool.
Unfortunately, I cannot have lilies at home because they're poisonous to cats.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, if you have a cat, do not have
That's not
lilies
good.
at home.
So much stuff is poisonous to our animals.
I know.
See,
Chocolate.
what does your writing process look like?
Usually I try to do an outline first, which more often than not, half of it ends up in the trash. But unless so I do the outline and I think it looks good, and then I start writing it and get to a point where it's like what I think was working does not. And so I usually just improvise when that doesn't work. Juba, no, you wanted to come in, you're going to stay in. My cat's just meowing to get out. So yeah, it's a lot of writing and outlining, and then I go back, I redo my outline to match what I changed, and so on. It's an iterative process. Keep going, outline, drafting, outline, drafting.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What is next for you?
I'm not sure yet. I wanted to do more Portuguese legend retellings, and I really wanted to do the Baker of Aljubarrota, which was this woman who was a baker, and during the Battle of Aljubarrota, where the Spaniards from Castella tried to invade us, because there was a succession problem issue going on, the king left no descendants except for a girl, which wouldn't have been a problem if we allowed girls to rule. And during that battle, she found 12 Spaniards sleeping in her oven. She just whacked them with her baker's paddle. So she has the biggest gay energy ever. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to do something with Nereids. They're like mermaids, but uglier. They're part of our folklore. But I want to do so many things. Right now, I'm just like going between that and the one about I call it the Faceless Dolls, which is about the Bone Chapel in Évora. But take that, and it's an entire country where the architecture is bones. Bones on bones. We have that
cool.
chapel. It's really cool, but also so creepy. Like
right, but it's a cool creepy. The other one you were talking about with the lady that beats the people with the bread thing, it kind of reminds me of Tangled and her taking people out with the skillet.
With the skillet, yeah. Oh my
you should
God,
find a way to blend all those together. That would be one epic fantasy. My goodness.
Yeah, but gay. I'm determined. Now I'm just gonna be queer books from now on. My other friend is just chaotic pansexuals wreaking havoc.
Hey, if it works, it works. That's all there is to it. So why did you choose to decide to do this as a standalone?
Because I thought the story was just contained fine as in one book. I could tell Yzabel's story from beginning to end, at least this portion. And I know I wanted to end with the Miracle of Roses. And so it was like a journey until the Miracle of Roses. And by the end, I was just like, all her problems are solved, kind of. So I just didn't see fit. I didn't see fit to do a continuation. Although she did do cool things after, like stopping a war between her husband and her son. Because her husband wanted his bastard son, who had the same name as the legitimate son. They were both named Afonso, which is very confusing. And he wanted the bastard to take the throne. And Yzabel was like, no, I did not birth kids for this. And the legitimate son was also not happy because he was a legitimate heir. So there was almost a civil war, and Isabel just went on her white mule and parked herself in the middle of the battlefield and refused to move until they stopped being.
Oh, I love that. It's
She
like,
did some
nope.
yeah.
This isn't gonna happen.
It stopped. It's like it's the Battle
That's
of Alvalade.
crazy.
It's amazing that she did that. But I
That
might
is so cool.
bring her back in the Baker of Bones. I might, because some things happen.
I mean, that would
She's
be
still
really cool because I mean,
she
you
might
could
still
really
make
interweave all these different, retellings with all these things together, and then set them all in the same world. I mean, that would be really interesting.
And we have so many legends that no one knows
Right?
about, so I can just make a career out of that, basically.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool because we constantly get the same things over and over again, especially within YA literature. It's always mermaids and witches and werewolves and vampires and all this stuff. So I really love that you guys are coming out with all of these other stories from your own cultures and stuff, because it's new. I mean, it might be something closely related to another aspect of a different one, but it's completely new, and it's so nice because it's just that fresh of that breath of fresh air of something that we haven't seen before, which is really great.
That was when I decided to write this. I knew I wanted to do a retelling, but everyone was doing Sleeping Beauty and Snow White and all of that. I was like, but everyone's done that. What can I do that's just unique to me? And then I was like, oh my god, my hometown legend.
That is so cool.
I gotta entertain this cat. This cat is like, if you don't give him attention, it's just, I think, oh my god.
So how did you come up with your characters and your story?
Well, Yzabel was pretty much set in stone because she was a real person. She was troublesome. Because when I was reading up on her, she was the most pious, goodest person ever. And I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to write a hardcore Catholic, and I'm an atheist. So I'm like, no. But I was raised Catholic, so I knew a lot about Catholic guilt and not feeling comfortable with in your own skin because of the things they pass on. And I also knew how to make her accept herself and stay Catholic. You just focus on Jesus, who was like a nice guy. And the others, Fatyan ended up being kind of a compliment to Yzabel. Like everything Yzabel did, Fatyan would just be like, no, that's not what happens. Stop. And then her mentor, British, was basically the badass old lady mentor that will call you out on your crap, but also not afraid to give you a hug when you need it. And then King Denise was by far the hardest. I had to rewrite him 4 times because he was just coming across as an asshole in the earlier versions. And one of my friends actually wanted me to kill him off and have Fatyan take his place. But he was actually a good king, in retrospect, knowing what we do now. And I wanted him to be not a villain. I didn't want him to be a villain. So I softened him up a bit. But he's still a huge privilege guy. I mean, he was raised to be a king. And when you're raised to be a king, everyone licks your boots, and you're used to getting your way with everything. So he's just very like that. And every time Yzabel, who was very stubborn, and also in real life as well, every time she did something he did not agree with, they clashed heads constantly. Because he was like, are you telling me no? No one's told me no before. How dare? And then Fatyan just not being there for that.
It's like, we're just going to take you out of here so you don't have a comment about it, and it's done. Yeah. You don't have any say in the matter. So, what was English? Was your English your second language or first language? Or
that's my second language. I grew up speaking Portuguese, and at age 13, I got the internet finally, and then I have this close group of friends in the Tomb Raider fandom, and we just talked in English. And my English was not great back then, but with practice and more practice and writing a ton of fanfic, I started getting better, and I was fluent by age 14.
Nice. 14. Yeah, because I mean, you're good. I mean, did you have any issues with writing the book at all, or?
Not really, because by now my written English and spoken English is better than my Portuguese because I just use it a lot more,
Hmm.
especially in writing. I don't write in Portuguese at all
That
unless
was my next question.
yeah, unless someone makes me. I'm not writing in Portuguese. There's no point to it. No one's gonna buy the book or read it because the whole Portuguese publishing scene is a nightmare for new writers, especially for
Hmm.
fantasy, especially
Oh
for
wow.
AA, especially for gay stuff. So I have like the unholy trinity of Portuguese
Hmm.
publishing right now. And I think the last time I wrote in Portuguese was for this speculative Guide to Lisbon we did. It was a Guide to Lisbon, but with fantasy elements. And I did write my segment on the zoo in Portuguese, and then I ended up translating the whole guide into English. She was like, I should have just written it in English in the first place.
That's awesome. I mean, other than your accent, which is
Yeah, my
beautiful, by the
accent
way, I
is
love it.
not
Yeah,
superior.
yeah. I mean, other than your accent, like you wouldn't know that you didn't grow up knowing English because I mean, it's great.
Oh, thank
I've
you.
known a lot of people over the years, and you're good.
Thank you. So it's always nice to hear.
So, what have you been reading this year? I mean, has the pandemic hit you guys really bad, or?
It has somewhat. We're on lockdown right now. You can't leave the
Oh,
house
wow.
after 11 p.m. in the weeks and after 1 p.m. on weekends.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm just locked at home. Luckily, there's a thing called ebooks and also, shipping from England. I read a lot of books that I love this year. I read You Should See Me in the Crown, which I loved. I
Hmm.
read Legendborn, which I was absolutely mad
Oh, I
about.
need to. That one's on my TBR for this
I
month. I
was
need to
just,
read it.
oh my God, come slay me. I was just like DMing Tracy, like, what?
Oh, God.
Going completely nuts about it. I love this Violent Lights. It
Mhm.
was amazing. And then I caught up on Gideon the Ninth and Harrow the Ninth, and I love them both. I had like, in Harrow, I had like, for the first few chapters, what's going on? But then it makes sense. And it makes sense that it didn't make sense. And I love them a lot. I'm reading The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea right now by Maggie Takudahal, and I'm
Mhm.
really liking it. And also The Traitor Baru Cormorant, which is an adult science fiction fantasy novel. And it's about this girl whose people get basically colonized, and she's really smart. So she decides that the way to save her people is to learn how the empire works and take it down from the inside.
Ooh.
It's really well good because she has she has one mom and two dads,
Mhm.
and it's not an issue for her at all. It's like common, everyone has it, but then the empire comes in and it's like it's very unhygienic. Unhygienic? Oh my god, I can say the word. Hygienic, the opposite.
Unhygienic.
Unhygienic, exactly. Yeah. So that's the empire, and then one of her dads just disappears.
Oh no.
And then she's just like then she's gay also, which is a sin for the empire.
Of
So I'm,
course.
I'm really enjoying it as well. Reading one on Kindle and one on paperback.
Well, that's great. Well, the story was great, guys. Definitely check it out. That is all of the questions that we have for you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you
And
so much
guys,
for
if you
having
haven't
me.
checked this beautiful book out, definitely do so. I mean, it's definitely something that is new and fresh. So you guys check that out and make
Starring
sure to
Dolores Saras. Because I
you
love
guys
it.
make sure to join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. for DK Stone, Danica Stone for her 2 books, and we'll catch you guys later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.